What if Deku was Spider-Man? Now, quick disclaimer, I'm just giving him the Last Stand suit because it's my favorite suit, and if you have any complaints about that, fuck off. Nothing's the same from Last Stand, however. Now, spoiler warnings for Insomniac Spider-Man and The City That Never Sleeps Episode 1 or Chapter 1 DLC. So, spoilers for that. Also, of course, spoilers for My Hero Academia, pretty much all the way up to Season 4, but not that many since it's not really going to stay canon to the storyline. But going into it, we're not actually starting with Deku, we're starting with Peter Parker. Now, this is basically Insomniac's version of Peter Parker. However, it's different. He is the exact same as canon, but in this timeline, something happened after the final battle with Dr. Octavius Otto, Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock, whatever the fuck you're gonna call him. Just call him something and be done with it. So, this was around the time where it was, nothing changed. It's not around the time of anything. I'm just stupid. However, something happened. His identity was, in fact, revealed here. So, that means whenever Jameson did research, he found out that Peter worked on the project and revealed this to the world. So, or to New York, which inevitably made New York turn on him. Basically, he couldn't really go anywhere without either getting harassed by random civilians or just screamed at and told to leave the city. The relationship with MJ didn't actually fix itself. It actually just got worse as the attack put MJ and whatever remains of her family in danger, basically severing all connections with MJ, and basically just nothing. Unfortunately, May still dies, so this basically just puts on top of, just makes it, kinda hard for, our little friend here. But he would continue going on, helping the city, even if he's never acknowledged for it, and just constantly just harassed. He continues to save the city, and this is where we get to the start of The City That Never Sleeps. The episode 1, or chapter 1. It's been a while since I played it. Not the City That Never Sleeps, the first chapter of it. It's been a while. So, basically, he's also can basically do all this stuff by himself. So basically, it goes same, and he basically still figures out on his own what is happening, gets the shipment records and shit like that. So now we go to a 6-year-old Izuku. As he would wake up, his hands would be tied behind a chair. As Izuku is smart, and he basically untied himself because it wasn't secured. He would look to the side and see a bunch of weapons, and then look behind him to see an open suitcase with a drive in it. So, Izuku is just looking around for a possible way to get out, as he'd see that there is a manual release inside of the vault. He would go to it, however, it requires a pin, one he does not have. He looks at the drive and grabs it, just in case it's something important and he'll need it to escape whatever facility he's inevitably in. So Izuku has Hammerhead's drive. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Izuku also is special. He is technically born with a quirk. Technically, you'll figure out which one later. And something else I have to explain, this is the world of My Hero Academia in the city of Insomniac Spider-Man. So basically, New York in this timeline, very much not realistic and very much not like Spider-Man. Before the attack, the Hero Agency just left it all on Spider-Man and the Avengers, who inevitably are never in the city at this point, to take care of the villains there. as it was all good until the Mafia is now starting back up. So soon, a lot of heroes will be dispatched to New York to, help Spider-Man and anyone who's there. And a lot of the hero agency and heroes have also started to turn on Peter, unfortunately. Even though Peter is a vigilante, he was respected by heroes. Someone who also, the hero agency never really cared to task anyone to take him down because, no one could ever catch him. So, we then basically, it's been a few hours since we last saw Peter getting the shipment records, or about 30 minutes. And then we see Peter and another figure coming up on a facility, or dock. Basically, this is Peter and Black Cat basically going in and basically just beating the shit and takedowning everyone. So we would skip to after Peter was done getting ambushed and, took care of everyone inevitably. And he'd then zip up to the vault and open it to see a chair with ropes on the ground, to see an open briefcase with the drive gone. Now, he would then look behind him to basically hear a voice. Basically, Felicia just thanking him. And, yeah, that's it. Felicia didn't lie about it in this one. Izuku is the son of Black Cat, and I think you guys know where I'm going. He's also the son of Peter Parker. I'm sorry, there was just too good of an opportunity, coming up with this what if, to just not do it completely. So, basically, a bunch of thugs would then come up as the Black Cat would reach her hand and basically pull Parker up, and they would basically escape with Izuku just unconscious on Felicia's back. And his name is technically still going to be Izuku Midoriya for the sake of I don't want anyone knowing that he's connected to these two. And that's just that. His name is, or alias, is Izuku Midoriya, but real name is Izuku Hardy or Izuku Parker, I guess. So they would escape, and it would basically, nothing would go to normal from here. Basically, Felicia would reveal the bad or good news despite on what some of you dirty-minded fucks think about Izuku being, Peter's son. Basically, with the news of the heroes being dispatched in New York, and literally everyone in New York and most of the hero agency hating him, he decided to leave with Felicia and Izuku off to Japan. And yes, they still have all 5 drives, because Izuku snagged that son of a bitch, but, Felicia doesn't know Izuku has it right now. Basically, Felicia never turned in the drives, and wasn't told to turn them in until she had all 5, which, stupidness beats stupidness, I guess. So, they'd get to Japan, and no one would notice Peter, as he was basically just wearing a hoodie, just basically going to an apartment that, a old friend, owned, and basically got the permission to stay there for a bit. Now, this would be Inko Midoriya, and that's why, this would be Inko Midoriya's old apartment, and that's why Izuku's alias is Izuku Midoriya, is because Inko was a friend of Black Cat, and Inko, unfortunately, died in a villain attack, so, unfortunately. So, basically, Spider-Man would still be a vigilante, and people would know who he is, and people would actually accept him in Japan because, well, Japan is home to some of the smartest people on the planet, and they don't want that smartness getting wasted, so he got a job with S.H.I.E.L.D., so he basically would leave Japan to Island to take the job, and basically just get his mind off things. Izuku, well, weird shit started happening. Like, completely weird shit. So, he would wake up one morning, go through the normal routine, and he's 13 at this point, and I guess I'm just gonna have to say it. UA is a college in this one, so. So, Izuku is 13, and no, Peter's not never around. He comes back at least once every 3 weeks to visit them. It's not that far away, or where Island is stationed at the moment. And basically, Peter, with the knowledge of prosthetics of what he was creating with Dr. Octavius, would basically help create one of the best artificial arms or prosthetic arms in existence, and basically a lot of money and a lot of people would be helped with this prosthetic. No one knows Peter helped develop it, but, you know, no one would ever buy it if they knew, so meh. So Izuku would go through the routine and basically just wake up, do his hair, and he would turn on the water and wash his hands. And when he was going to turn off the water, he turned the faucet off, and he couldn't remove his hand from the knob. As he would basically rip the knob off, and a bunch of water would spew in his face. As he would immediately take a towel and cover it up. And basically, then Felicia or his mother would come in and basically see and fix the problem. And then looked at Izuku and basically would just ask what happens. Izuku explaining what happened. And Felicia doesn't think anything of it yet because, well, meh. Then Izuku would basically go to school, him being considered quirkless because no one knew he had a quote-unquote quirk. As he would basically, at the end of the school, go up to the roof just to get some fresh air and basically sit at the edge of the roof just looking down upon Japan. As one of Bakugo's friends would appear behind him and push Izuku off. Izuku would let his hand touch the building as he thought he was going to die, but then suddenly stopped. He was sticking to the side of the building. As he would calm his breathing down and be able to control it, as he'd crawl back up to the roof and the bully's already gone, thinking he's dead. And Bakugo in this one doesn't really mind Izuku, as he's never been around him his whole life, so he's not that annoyed. Izuku's also incredibly intelligent. Not the most intelligent person in the world, but, you know, in middle school alone, or hell, even in 4th grade, he'd be able to rival the knowledge of a middle schooler, and in middle school, he'd be able to rival the knowledge of any normal high schooler, I guess. So, Izuku would basically have graduated middle school and gone home, just basically contradicting his whole life. He does not have any idea what's going on. As he would go home and basically walk in to see Peter just talking to Felicia. Now, this isn't the first time Izuku has seen his dad, and he looks up to his father for, well, he knows he's the vigilante. I mean, almost everyone knows Parker's Spider-Man. But, Izuku would explain what happened to his parents, and Peter would then realize, he has my abilities, he has my power, and would then go ahead and make a comment about this, and Felicia notices, well, it's right. And basically, Peter would offer to train Izuku if he wanted to. And Izuku said yes, wanting to actually become a hero to repair his father's name. Not to any extent as Oni from Dead by Daylight, but he just wants people to respect the name Spider-Man again, and not call it a menacing threat. My god, you don't know how many comments I want to make about that, but I want to get through the story, so... So, basically, for the next 3 years, Izuku is now, let's see, 16, and basically, college starts at 17, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, so in 1 year, or in 10 months, the exams will be taken, and basically, his father would surprise him with this suit. Now, you might be wondering, but Peter is a genius. He could make something so much better than this, like Iron Spider at this point. Well, yes, he could make Iron Spider, nanotechnology and all, and Dr. Octopus arms. But Izuku doesn't really like technology that much, or he likes it, he just doesn't want to basically be a techno freak. He likes technology, but just doesn't like using a lot of technology around him. So that's just Izuku. So he got this suit, and might I add, this suit is kind of fire. So Izuku wouldn't use the suit, but just wait until, well, they were allowed to use it in UA. As the 10 months would pass, and, well, Izuku would go up to the entrance of UA, delete previous versions of window. We can free up some. What the? Is that a grammar stick? We can free up. Your computer is running low on storage. Oh. Yeah, sure. So Izuku would basically walk into UA, and when he fell, he would then just basically do a front flip and rebalance himself. People were kind of shocked, but no one cared. As there's also a note on Izuku's profile that the teachers can see to call him by Izuku Midoriya to not reveal anything. And, the teachers are going to listen because fuck it. So Izuku would ace the, written test, getting a good 98%. Now, I said Izuku was smart, but he is in no way smarter than Nezu. And the only reason it's 98% is because of the grammar mistakes. He got 5 of them, but could not get all of them, so the last bit of percent could not get, but he's still the highest scorer in all of UA. Not all of UA history, of course not. Yes, all of UA history. No, the highest recorded score previously was 67%. Goes to show you how smart Nezu is. Anyways, as the practical exam would start, Izuku would go up to a robot and just punch it, basically blowing it back, going into a wall. As he would then start zipping around the city with webs, as his webs are organic and not actual technology. Yes. No fucking web shooter required. Web nozzle? Yes. Web shooter? No. So he'd basically be swinging around the city, and people would start, the teachers and heroes would note the similarity between him and Spider-Man. They would pull up his profile and see Izuku Midoriya, quirk, spider, or, well, he'd see Izuku Parker / Hardy, alias Izuku Midoriya, quirk, spider, and basically get the rough background. Nothing about the Hammerhead incident, but Izuku would basically just destroy robots, and destroy robots, because that's the only thing he can do. He's also gone around helping multiple people, accumulating 200 within rescue points. And the reason you're asking me, wait, 200 in fucking rescue points? Izuku got 60 rescue points from just rescuing one person, and even if it was a large threat, that's still a lot for one person. So if he were to save multiple people, more than one, he would accumulate 200 rescue points in no time. And by rescue points alone, he would also break the UA record. Because by the end of the exam, he would have accumulated over 396 rescue points. And basically, the ground would basically start shaking as a massive green robot would appear. As you would basically just see a bunch of the students running away, and Izuku's about to zip away as he hears someone screaming for help. He would look to the rubble and see a blonde-haired girl screaming for help, and Izuku would zip over there and basically just web the robot to death, as this takes a strain on his arms, but he's got an infinite number of webs. So the robot is now completely webbed, as Izuku would take a good punch to its chest, which is where its motherboard is, and just basically destroys the robot, causing it to blow up, and grabbing the blonde-haired girl and zipping out of there. As both Izuku would get healed of stamina, and this blonde-haired girl would get healed of injuries, as she would yell out, "Wait, what's your name?" As Izuku would look back and say, "Izuku Midoriya, you?" As the girl would then respond, "Gwen Stacy." As then Izuku would then leave, going home knowing he passed and not needing any input. So Izuku not only broke the record, but he also shocked almost all the teachers, and is also stronger than all three of the big three combined. He's kind of overpowered, but he's Spider-Man, so he's got more usefulness than he's at least got more usefulness than fucking Uraraka. Sorry. Anyways. So I was ranting about how useless Uraraka's Season 1 quirk was, but I'm not going to rant about that anymore. A few weeks would pass, Izuku would be accepted into UA, and basically, there's my editing software. Yay, it exists. But Izuku would basically walk up to 1A, and I'm just gonna, for now on, till I stay stopped, this is gonna be Izuku talking. What the fuck? Why the hell are the doors so big? Giant quirks, maybe? But most giants' quirk allow you to revert back to normal size. Did they consider quirks that didn't? But the fucking entrance... What the fuck? The entrance at the entrance building... The entrance door is twice as small as this. That makes no sense. As Izuku would walk in to see a blonde-haired motherfucker and a blue-haired motherfucker arguing, and basically he would then say, "Shut up." As Bakugo would look at him and say, "Deku, what the hell is a quirkless loser doing here?" As Bakugo would then stand up looking at Deku, and Deku would say, "I'm not quirkless, and I'm not a loser. The only loser I see here is you." As Izuku does kind of hold a grudge against Bakugo, as towards the ends of middle school, and most of high school, Bakugo bullied him, since, powers go hidden because, why the fuck would he even reveal them? Izuku's smart, he has no reason to reveal them without permission to use them. So, basically, Bakugo would run at him, as Izuku would then, just kick him and web his mouth shut. As Bakugo would then just admit defeat and go sit down, as Bakugo at least has some more sense in this one, because I don't want to make him completely retarded and have to, slap him with a kill hammer, because I will kill anyone. So Aizawa would walk in, explain this basic bullshit, and basically go to the quote-unquote, quirk assessment test. Izuku would get first in most of these, but some of them he'd fail in. In speed, he would just web the UA building and then a tree, and then basically shoot himself forward. However, he would not get first due to Ida being faster than him at this point, as even with webs, Ida is faster since Ida used Recepio, because Ida doesn't want to lose because he's a bitch. Strength, Izuku would get second in, since he's not the strongest, but he is one of the strongest. But everything else, he would basically A. Side to side, he'd also get middle, an average score in it, since he can't really use his power to do anything. But overall, he'd come in first in the overall exam. As we would basically see Izuku about to leave until Gwen would basically ask if he was somehow related to Spider-Man, as this got her curiosity a bit too much, and he would say yes. Well, anyway, see ya. As he would basically just web himself to the top of a nearest building and start running. No one could see him, but he wanted to get home faster for dinner. Anyways, and with that, that is the end of part 1 of What If Izuku Was Spider-Man. I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you guys liked the people I decided to add it and where I chose to go with the story. But I'm gonna put a like goal of 5 likes in order to get a part 2, as I'm not really confident in my storytelling abilities as of lately, and I'm also gonna try, quote-unquote, to get my upload schedule better, but, ain't nothing we can do about that, now is there? I hope you guys all have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on the flip side.